Academically, something that I've learned is that it's really valuable to kind of go out of your comfort zone and go out of your interests, because before this summer I had never learned that much about food insecurity or learned much about urban gardening and farming, and I actually found that I'm really interested in learning about sustainable agriculture. And so that's something that I've learned, is that going back, I want to look at more classes that I have the opportunity to take that are kind of outside of my interests or comfort zone, and they might find some new interests. And something else that I would like to bring back is the knowing the importance and impact of my own voice. As mentioned before, sometimes you can feel out of place if you're in a space that doesn't have many people that look like you. And so kind of the summer has taught me that it's important to raise my own voice, and like Alexa said, working on the inclusion of the diversity of the student body. So if I can start that change myself by speaking up a bit more in class, or speaking up a bit more in the organizations that I'm involved in at campus, then that would be something really valuable to me.
So I think I always knew a lot of background information as it related to environmental justice, but I think I have it through kind of like a new lens now. At the University of Michigan, I'm a part of a research lab in Cs called the Urban Energy Justice Lab, where we do a lot of like environmental justice work as it relates to energy. And so I think it's really interesting because they're always looking. We do this thing where we at the beginning of each lab meeting, we look at research articles that each team member shares each week. And so it's kind of like inspired me to want to share more environmental justice articles and like actually like find some articles that intrigue me too, just to learn more, but then also educate the rest of my lab group on them. And I think that would be really, really interesting because we're going out and doing all this environmental justice work, but it's also important for us going into these different spaces to learn about the environmental justice movement and know our history as well. So I think that'll be really, really fun to bring into that. And then I'm also a part of a professional environment fraternity at the university, which is called Epsilon Eta. And so a huge thing is we're trying to focus more on environmental justice, especially in terms of bringing in more diversity into our own organization. And that could mean in like different aspects of majors related to the environment, but then also just in terms of the different demographics of our group. And so I feel like a lot of the environmental issues that I worked on relating to food access this summer is a topic that I could really bring in, especially because we're going to start planning for the school year and what that'll look like in terms of our meetings for our fraternity. And I'm on the board that helps plan the different events that we do, and we're thinking of doing an event where we'll have group members learn different aspects of the environment. And I feel it'd be really cool to kind of lead in a food access group and be able to share what I learned from the summer and just educate people myself. So I feel like that's going to be the most rewarding thing, is being able to take what I've learned and teach it to other people and incorporate it into the extracurricular activities that I do on campus. So
I really want to focus on the intersectionality of environmentalism in all aspects, whether that be from traditional modern issues like what's going on in the world today when it comes to like race relations, and also in the environmental world, like specifically environmental science versus studies. For some reason, I feel like my school's very like, there's like a fragment in how we interpret the world. There's not as much emphasis on, okay, how is the environmental problems affecting people, and more just fix the problem in general, because we'll have like a solution, but then not consider how that actually affects people and the ramifications of that solution. So I really want to focus on that, whether that be through engaging in like classrooms or in extra events outside of like class. So like through like environmental clubs and environmental organizations on campus, and being able to have those conversations with the environmental community.
My experience, it was so good. And I think because my school has decided to adopt a hybrid model where we're remote and in person, but mostly remote, and we can't have like guests and we can't have friends in our dorms and all that stuff. It's created this kind of like, oh, we're not really going to college kind of feeling. But what I wanted to bring from this program was probably the amount of times that we've, like, the support that we all had for each other, and the willingness to become friends, no matter what it's like online. And I really want to bring that back to my school, because we have very small class sizes, and all of us are stuck with each other for a month. My school works on a block to block basis, so we have one class for 1 month and then move on. And so for a month, we're all each other sees. And I think it's easy to have friends when you're in class, but it's harder when you can feel more isolated when it's online, especially in like this kind of environment where you're not constantly changing or seeing new people. So I think one of the main things I want to bring back is the sense of community that DDCSP was able to create, like just by playing games and just like by pure persistence, really. Like even Meg and Ember and all of them, really, we had like Friday community time and stuff like that to really try and make the cohorts like really feel connected. And I think like that's important too. Like even if they didn't want to, even if we did not wanted to, we would have been forced to anyways, which would have made us more open-minded and more willing to like be friends with other people. And I just think that during like a time like a global pandemic where people can feel more isolated than they ever have, especially new college students who are just people right about to graduate as well. I don't know what the job market is going to look like. It's important to have like that school pride, and that I'm going to stick up for the people that go to my school and that are with me, because they deserve that.
I think it's a lot of, again, what everyone else has been saying. I think that diversity is a really important thing, and continuing to find ways to not just speak up myself, but to try to encourage other students who may be wanting to do the work but don't know where to start, encouraging them to come to a sustainability event, or encouraging them to submit a proposal to sustainability office or something like that. I think more so than anything, though, I want to take back all the possibilities to do food work on campus. I know before the summer started, I was a little unsure of sort of if I were to implement some food policy on campus, what that would look like or what we would do. But all of the projects this summer showed me that there's so many different things you can do in relation to food, and that many times it just seems like a hidden issue that people don't want to address, because food is a touchy topic, something that like food insecurity is something that not many students like talking about, especially if it's something personal to them. But these are really important conversations that we need to be having. So I really want to think carefully about how do we talk more about food and food justice in general at places like colleges and universities, when like my work dealt specifically with college food insecurity. And there's, I think, 2 million students who qualify for food stamps that don't even know about it and don't use them. And I saw a report somewhere that said 50% of college students are food insecure. So I'm in a perfect place inside of a college to try to address that, at least on my campus, if not creating examples for other colleges. And I think that that's something that should definitely be started soon.
I definitely would like to tackle the diversity problem that we have amongst our environmental orgs, because UMiami, it's a very diverse school, so they've got that down, but they're lacking in the inclusion part of it. So we have this amazing student body of all these diverse people from different backgrounds, but we're not bringing it to the table. So if I wasn't reached out to by some people above me, then I might not be in the place where I am, like in the multiple orgs that I'm in at UMiami. And so I think that our orgs could do a lot better job of, tackling that intersectionality, like Terrell said, but then also just bringing these people and getting their opinions, and, just to better our goals. We have good goals, but they're not really being implemented well.
I'm only the third student at my home university to be a part of the Doris Duke Conservation Scholars Program. And so I'm going to be talking more to other students at my university who are interested in environmental justice, who are interested in fighting for representation in environmental studies. I also am going to bring questions. Why haven't I learned about Indigenous practices? Washington is on, like, my university is on unceded territory. Why aren't we talking about Indigenous environmental practices? One of the most interesting presentation I had this summer was about heritage seeds. And I thought that was just so interesting and something I want to continue to study and something I want to continue to bring attention to at my home university, and to talk more with my professors about how Indigenous practices can influence environmental studies. I'm a part of an urban sustainability specialization. Let's talk more about green gentrification and how we as upcoming leaders in the profession, how can we bring attention to that and make a difference when we leave university? So that's really important to me. I feel like I am sort of emboldened after the summer with these concepts and with the knowledge that it's possible to talk about environmental justice and to not exclude people, but rather to bring people in, even more perspectives. And I hope to continue the work at my university and hopefully have many other students join the program.